Hey, everybody, welcome to this September 17th, 2020 show. I'm Nick Kyprios. This is the Real Kyper at Noon show. Yeah, a couple of minutes on the delay, but that's because we're jam packed today once again. No Doug McLean co hosting today, but somewhere out east. He's got his RV. He's headed towards Cabot Links as he's let us all know this week where he was going on Thursday and Friday. But no Doug McLean as a co-host, so I went out and found a Hall of Famer for you all today. Marty St. Louis. What a fantastic story this guy has. Of course, we're going to ask him about Tampa Bay's chances in Game 6 and how much he likes that team now and how the game has evolved. He's only been out 5-6 years now out of his retirement. So we catch up to him, talk about a lot of stuff, including his overall story. As I've told you all, I've got a book coming out with Simon & Schuster in the fall, and we've titled it Undrafted. And it's pretty much the story of finding different ways to get there. And that's all it is. For me, it was in the National Hockey League, and then it was me as a broadcaster for 20 years. So that's my story coming out October 20th, called Undrafted. And yes, I have a lot in common with Marty St. Louis. Unfortunately, where it doesn't run parallel is 1,000 games, 1,000 points, and a 2018 induction in the Hall of Fame. That's where we differ. But outside of that, it's pretty much common that Marty had to do basically what any other player who goes undrafted in the National Hockey League, and that's find different ways to get there. Find a different road. It's much different from a first rounder like Vincent Lecavalier, and we get into that as well in terms of Vinny having an easier path. Why? Because of the talent level. Now, Vinny also didn't have the work ethic that Marty had off the ice, and he says some interesting stuff on that as well. So look forward to Marty St. Louis coming up in a few minutes. And there's so much else to talk about around the National Hockey League, including the trade that we saw, Eric Staal out of Minnesota going to Buffalo for Marcus Johansson. And that one's interesting. It's already been kind of talked about how Eric had no idea that it was coming. And we get it. That's the business of the world, that he submits a list of 10 teams that he won't go to. And we know Buffalo wasn't one of those 10 teams on his list. Therefore, Billy Guerin traded him to the Buffalo Sabres. But what will be interesting to know is his attitude towards going to Buffalo. We're dealing with a 36-year-old who's at the end of his career. And I know he's not that thrilled about it, to be honest with you. So how is that going to play out in Buffalo? You got to go in with the right attitude. Of course, Kevin Adams, the new general manager of Buffalo, know that they've got a history together. 2006, Carolina. And it was a good history. They won. But for Staal to go there and have success in a very short period of time, he's got to be happy. And I don't think a soon-to-be 36-year-old who's looking for one last chance at a Stanley Cup is going to be excited to go to that scenario where they are still scrambling for credibility. And of course, he's supposed to be part of the solution to that credibility. But that also means that, you're not going to have a chance to win another cup. Unless, of course, next trade deadline, he's in a scenario where maybe Kevin does push him through. But you got to play well. That's the key in all of this, is he's got to go to Buffalo and he's got to show everybody that if he is in a position to be traded again to a contender, that he can still contribute. And it wasn't that long ago where we all thought his career was over. Remember Carolina and the Ranger trade, where the Rangers ended up spending 2 second-rounders on him, plus a body that we can't even remember because it was a bust? He had 3 goals in 20 games. He didn't have any in 5 games in the playoffs. We thought his career was over. It was Minnesota that gave him a lifeline. And yes, he earned it. He earned it. He scored a lot of goals there, including in his second year, over 40. But Buffalo expecting 15, 20, 25? Is he going to go in there and show that he can still score 20, 25 goals? Yeah, then he's got a chance to get traded again as a contender. But we'll see how that plays out. Hopefully Kevin Adams and Eric have had a good conversation at this point, which I don't think has happened. At least it didn't appear that it happened before the trade. I get the sense that Eric had no idea Buffalo was coming down the pike, but hopefully they can straighten that out. Also, a lot of interesting storylines coming out of Vegas. Kelly McCrimmon, when he met the media, that was the first thing anyone was going to ask him was Marty, or it was Marc-Andre Fleury. I just don't see a trade happening anytime soon. I really don't. That goalie scenario right now, and the flood that is going to hit in the off season, I just don't see any team pushing real fast to take on $14 million in the next 2 years. But he's got his hands full. He's got an owner that wants it addressed right away. We do know that a couple of days ago, Marc-Andre Fleury submitted a new list, which included 10 teams that he won't go to. So Kelly McCrimmon's on the clock now. He's got to find a deal. He's got to get rid of this issue. Can't have it hanging over the organization's head for long, but he may not have much choice here. So that one will be interesting to see how it plays out. Okay, we got a terrific lineup, including, as I said, Hall of Famer Marty St. Louis. But I'm also wondering now, because I got many sources in the hockey world and a few out east, that Doug MacLean is somewhere driving right now. So I asked my producer, my director, Jordan, Joe, is there any way by chance that we can find Doug MacLean on a cell phone? I think he's behind the wheel of an RV. I think that would be kind of fun if we could just get him to pick up his cell phone and just see how the drive's going. Is that possible? Can we do that?
We will try. That's my word to you. Joe is going to be trying to get him in there right now. I see his eyes moving, so he's trying. But if I was Doug, I don't know if I would answer, to be honest. He's got a good thing going. He's in the RV. He's about to go play some golf. Some people in chat, Yoda saying, 4 days in a row you want to hear from Doug. What happened? I thought that we were trying to keep it limited,
We are keeping it limited, but I want to push him a little bit. I don't think he was ever pushed his whole career. And as a director of hockey here at linemovement.com, it's my job to bring the best out. And you're going to hear from Marty St. Louis. And I talked to him a little bit about those early years with Victor Headman and how he needed to kind of push him more. Oh,
we got Doug.
No, we don't have Doug.
How you doing?
Technology at its finest on the Real Kyper at Noon show.
I don't know if you can hear us.
Doug, is that you behind the wheel of your RV?
That is me. I just passed Pictou, Nova Scotia, the home of Ken Reid.
Did you wave?
No, but I didn't get a chance because I passed it in like 10 seconds.
Can you carpet that town? Is that how small it is?
And I'm on my way 105 kilometers to Cape Breton Island.
So what's the weather like? Tell me, did anybody recognize you on the highway? Did they try to run you over?
Well, when we were leaving PEI, we have to clear security to get into New Brunswick, so we had to fill out the forms there. Then when you go into Nova Scotia, you've got to clear there. So I had a good conversation with a couple of the Mounties, and now we're rolling. So it's great. We stopped at a little market, but in Nova Scotia, you have to wear masks. Anytime you're indoors, you have to wear a mask, which is great.
Good. That's the way it should be. Everywhere.
Exactly.
So long?
We're just cruising. Cruising.
At your age, how long can you drive legally? Like 30 minutes? 45 minutes?
We have a new RV rule that we only go 350 miles a day. Then we stop and have a hike, and then you set up for the night. So we have a 350-mile limit.
That's smart.
Because the idea of RVing is to reduce your blood pressure, to get you down to a relaxing state. So we're only going to do minimal drives each day, and then we'll set up. So right now I got an ETA of 344 at Cabot Cliffs when we're staying in a campground tonight right next door to the golf course, right between the two courses, the links and the cliffs in Cape Breton Island. They're Inverness, Nova Scotia.
There's no way Jill can keep her blood pressure down married to you. Is she in the back of the RV set up with a mesh net and hitting balls? Because you're playing a very tough golf course.
Jill is in the passenger seat because she's just been working to find the Real Kyper at Noon show, which we had on our RV radio here listening. So, but for some reason, I guess I couldn't listen at the same time as I was talking to you, so I had to shut it off. So we hooked it up. We're all set to go.
All right. Well, listen, we just wanted to check in on you. More importantly, that you're safe, that you haven't driven that thing in a ditch, that you're not on the side of the road with a flat tire trying to wave, people over to try to help you. We're checking up on you.
I'll be checking up to see how your numbers are today without me. I know we had a big. I know we were well over 16,000 views there Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So I'll be checking up to see how you do without me. As you know, when I'm not on, I do check the numbers.
Why do you care? Why do you care so much? Or the likes? Everybody out there, can you smash the love button for Doug in his RV? It'll make him feel great.
And I will like the show today too.
Well, we got Marty St. Louis coming up, and
that's exciting.
He's going to tell us how much he likes his Tampa Bay Lightning to close out this series. As you do, Mac. Before we let you go.
Well, I'm looking. I haven't heard his Point playing.
Questionable. He's questionable. They have not tipped their hand on that one.
Well, Marty will know. And you know what? How dumb was I? Jim Clark. I remember Jim Clark mentioning to me he was there scouting for us. This kid was playing in St. John, the St. John Flames in the American Hockey League. He and Paul Castron were saying, this is a guy we should sign. Of course, Rick Dudley noses in and signs him instead of me. So the rest is history. So anyway, great to have Marty on, Hall of Famer.
Well, Marty slid through the cracks as well, not just Point and others, but give Tampa Bay full credit. Doug MacLean in the RV heading over to Cabot Links. Mac, hit him long, hit him straight, pal.
Okay, take care.
All right, Doug MacLean. That was kind of fun, wasn't it? Hopefully he kept it straight while he's driving, Chewing gum and walking for Mac can be a challenge with the best of times, let alone an RV. Is he gone?
Hey, Joe, why don't you remove him from the call for me, please?
Yeah, we're good now, boys.
Hey, boys, thanks for doing that, eh? It was fun. That was fun. Okay. Why don't we go to the Hall of Famer? Marty St. Louis, I got a chance to catch up to him earlier today. He's a busy guy. We get into that right off the bat, just in terms of where the game's going, where it's headed, what he's seen, his life experiences. A terrific guy to listen to. I hope you enjoy it. Marty St. Louis, everybody. Joining me now on the Real Kyper at Noon show, a legend, especially around the Tampa Bay area, Marty St. Louis. Marty, thanks for doing this. You've been retired for, 5 years? Are you as busy as you thought you would be, or did you have no idea?
No, I mean, I jumped, it is 5 years. I'm actually starting coaching my 6th year, I believe, with my kids. And when I jumped right with them, I knew I'd be busy. I didn't realize how busy I was going to be. But, between the travels and the practices and stuff. But my oldest, who's in Michigan now, so I'm only down to 2. Coach, and so it's the practices are much easier to manage. I don't have many back-to-backs on weeknights. Less games to coach too. So it's been busy, but it's been good busy.
I want to get into that and so much more, especially the lessons that I think that you could instill in your kids and maybe the kids that you coach through your life lessons. A fantastic story. But we do have Game 6 tonight with your old squad, the Tampa Bay Lightning. The Islanders still sticking around. I take it that you've been able to catch a lot of the games so far. What are your thoughts on your former club, the Tampa Bay Lightning?
I mean, they've played solid. They don't have many holes in their game. I think they've learned, from last year's disappointment that you got to play a little tighter defensively, which they've done. But they can play. I feel they can play many styles now. I mean, they want to check, and you want to check with them. You want to play tight. They can do that. You want to open it up, well, you better buckle down because they can open it up too. So I'm not surprised the success they have had this playoff. Any mistakes. Their goalie Vazzy has been pretty good. A little bit worried, not worried, but having a Point in the lineup makes a big difference. He brings so much pace down the middle, and he pushes D's back, and it's just not that the other guys can't do that, but they don't do it at the level that he does, and definitely different, little bit of a different team without him in the lineup.
Yeah, and that's 2 losses now with him out of the lineup. So there is that concern. Another player that you may feel bad for is your old buddy Steven Stamkos. It's got to be tough on him not being in the lineup. It just seems, Marty, whether we're talking about this Stanley Cup run or even going back to Sochi in 2004, where he could not participate because of an injury in that scenario. Man, it just seems like he's got some tough luck.
And last time he couldn't participate, I jumped in for him in 15
That's right.
Sochi. Unfortunately, I can't do that now. I mean, he definitely is missed, obviously, on the ice. I'm sure he's doing a great thing in the locker room with those guys, but for him, he wants to be out there. And so I saw a clip of him skating the other day, and it got me, thinking positive. And, if they get by the Islanders, you might see him in the Stanley Cup final. And that's what I'm thinking. I definitely would hope to see him. He's a weapon that, you put him on the power play. If he's not 100%, but if he can shoot that puck, like on the power play, everybody else becomes more open a little bit, because they got to keep an eye on him. You can't just leave him there. So I think having that element there, it really could, open things up, just having his presence, even if he's not 100. But I know if Stammer would be close to 100, he'd be in the lineup. So I'm just going to keep my hopes up and hope to see him soon in there.
Yeah, you and thousands of other hockey fans would love to see a Steven Stamkos come back at some point. Another player, Marty, that you had a chance to see early in his career and maybe see, the potential or the development early is Victor Headman. What do you remember in those early years when he came in as a second pick overall, and how he has evolved and how you've seen him evolve into one of the best defensemen in the league?
Yeah, I mean, Eddie was young, tough to play at 18 in this league as a defenseman. It's a tough position. There's a lot of reads that you haven't experienced yet, and that's just without the puck. And with the puck is very challenging to find some offensive consistency and getting the ice time, the power play, and this and that. But what I'm impressed with Hetty is just all-around game. He's all over the ice, and it's so effortless. I know he's a big guy. He just picks his spot, and he's very active offensively, whether it's on the breakouts or through the neutral zone or even on entry sometimes. He's driving the net. But I just love the way he's in and out. He's just in and out. He's never static. So he covered by being in and out like that. He's just involved everywhere, and he doesn't have to stop and start as much, which what that does energy wise. So I feel he's just playing such an efficient game right now, and when the guy's in and out, if he's in on the rush, and he gets turned over, like he's always the guy back pressuring, and like as an opponent, you just feel he's everywhere, and he's got such a big reach, So I'm not surprised with listen, the resume that he's putting together. Hetty was always at a young age. He was always been a good kid still, but was a student too. Like I remember I felt like I was hard on Hetty, not hard in disrespectful way, hard and being like demanding, because I knew what was in there, and he wanted to learn, and I'm not surprised that he's having the success that he's having, because one, he's an unbelievable human, two, 6'6" specimen, but the computer to go with it. So it's been fun to watch, and I'm glad that I got to play with a guy like that early in his career.
Yeah, when you have a chance to have an influence on a young player like that, and I know you mentioned that you were hard on him, is it more on ice? Is it off ice? Is it the total package when you're dealing with so much raw talent?
For me, it was more on ice, hockey division, I mean, there's a big difference between making a play and making the play possible. And I think when a young kid comes in, they're just happy just making the play. They didn't get in trouble and stuff. But, are you evolving and actually getting better? For me, it's like, nobody in their right mind is going to be upset of you making a play. But there was a better play to be made. You just didn't give it a chance. So, and that's where the guys go from being average to elite and superstar. The guys that can recognize, okay, I know I got this here, but there's a better play. I just got to let it evolve here. But some guys don't have as big of a leash, and when you're a young guy, you just want to make a play, and that's okay. But you'll never be elite if you're constantly just making a play instead of the best play.
And you may have to throw a few pizzas up the middle of the ice every once in a while.
100%.
And have it come back to you. But to your point, if you know that you have the support and the guidance to hear that's okay, then you can move forward. But it's the ones that know that they're going to have their asses pinned on the bench the rest of the game that have trouble moving forward.
For sure. But I feel like, and when you're 18, 19, they're not going to do that, because you got your window of your developing you. So you got to take advantage of that window, of like really feel the trenches and trying to make the best plays you can make all the time, not just trying to survive. You got to live a little bit. And so, and I think the brand that Cooper plays, a puck possession, making plays, like, the forwards are allowed to bring pucks back. And when you bring pucks back, involve your D, you attack with 4 or 5. It's not just on the forecheck all the time and chasing the game. I never feel the Lightning chase the game, not chasing the game in a sense of being down all the time. I just don't feel they chase the game in a sense of chasing the puck all around. They're really a good possession team, and the only way to do that is to constantly attacking with 5, transitioning with 5, and obviously defending with 5, but just possessing. They're fun to watch.
Was that puck possession type of mentality there late in your career, or even in the last 5 years, have you seen it evolve to another level? Because I mean, you had puck possession kind of guys. The year you won the Cup, Dan Boyle was a type of guy that could come up on the play and get back. But has it completely gone to another level, Marty, since you've been watching?
Well, I feel like it depends the style of coach you got. I mean, sports like possession, but not at the cost of turning the puck over. And sports was definitely more north south to me uh, than what the Lightning plays now. That was a different era. Coop is definitely a puck possession guy, and I got to play for Coop for a year from deadline to deadline, and I liked the brand that he brought. And I went to AV in New York, which is north south. But I feel there's more and more teams that play like close to what the Lightning's trying to do, and maybe 10, 20 years ago, you might have had one or two teams. Like I feel like Detroit, was the team that just you couldn't get the puck. Colorado, but then New Jersey was north south.
Yeah.
So I mean, there's plenty of way to do things. To me, it's when everybody is on this page and pulling in the same direction. That's usually where you're going to find a chance to be more successful. As a player, I definitely enjoyed playing in a puck possession style more than a north-south, no matter what.
We know your full commitment is coaching minor hockey with your kids right now, but you did have a taste in a retirement working with John Tortorella and Columbus. How did you enjoy that? And is that something that you could see down the road?
Yeah, no, I enjoyed it a lot. I think Torts called me in January, not this past year, the year before, and asked me to I could help with his power play, and I start watching, and I would go in there for 2-3 days every 2-3 weeks, and he knew that's all I could do, So, but I know myself. I wanted to do more. I felt like I was watching. I was there every 2-3 weeks, and I felt I could do more, but I just couldn't. I know if I jump into that, like I'm not going to see my family. I feel like I'm 100%, like I'm 100 or nothing. So, but I enjoy it a lot, be around the guys on the ice with them. And it's amazing. I've been out of hockey for 6 years, and I got on the ice for practice. I didn't know where to stand. It was so fast. And I was almost like scared. I couldn't believe how fast it was. So, I mean, it's amazing how much the game evolves, and people, like as you age, you're getting slower. It's actually the game's getting faster with the same speed, I feel. And I definitely saw that with my own eyes being on the ice at practice. But, my youngest is 12. And I feel like, I got another, 3 years maybe of being home and being, hockey dad and taking care of all the daily stuff. And then I probably like to jump into coaching for sure after that. And, I feel that I've coached youth hockey for 5-6 years, and there's so much similarity to the next level. Like I'm coaching a team, but every kid has different personality. You're coaching individual. They all have different things they need to work on. So it's been a lot of fun.
Marty, I want to talk to you a little bit about what you just mentioned. I'm an all-in guy. It's either 100% or it's nothing. Did that really come based on your life experiences, being a smaller guy at 5'8", having people telling you that it's a big man's game and you're going to have difficulty?
Exactly what it is. I think I have a strong competitive drive. Like I feel like I love to compete, and so whatever I do, like I'm trying to do it the best I can. And when you do that, it usually requires time. So I tell my kids all the time, it's not about being the best. Trying to be the best is more important than being the best. And it's the work that you put in, and usually, it's direct correlation of what's going to happen on the other side. So I don't think I know it any other way. If I'm going to do something, I'm just going to go all out and try to do it.
And you were recruited by a lot of colleges, and you chose on Vermont, and you had a great freshman year, and it looked like you had a few choices in terms of where you wanted to sign an NHL contract. And was it your decision to stay for the third year? Were teams telling you to leave Vermont after 2? And then how did it go from being this sought after guy to barely trying to get a tryout with the Ottawa Senators?
I didn't have any, I don't know who told you that story, but
okay.
I didn't have many offers, because after my junior year, I had 85 points my junior year. I got offered by Washington. It wasn't enough to leave school. After you pay taxes and you buy a car, it wasn't enough to forego my last year and just get my education.
Okay.
In my last year, I went from 85 to 65, I think, and it was 4 years in the same league. And every night, people hooking me. There's no room for me anymore. It was almost too long in that league, because every game I played, I had 2 guys on me and hacking me. Nobody could protect me, really. And I ended up having more penalties as that was a Lady Big winner.
There's
right?
the competitiveness.
I had more penalties than points my senior year. So I don't know if that was maybe I turned maybe the scouts thought that was a negative or whatever, but I had no NHL offers after my senior year. It's pretty humbling. So you can feel sorry for yourself, or you get after it. And the time you waste feeling sorry for yourself is probably the time that you're wasting to get after it and try to get where you want to get. There's going to be some hurdles. You just got to go after it.
No time to feel sorry for yourself. You found yourself playing professional hockey in the International Hockey League, and Point of Game guy got you right back on the radar, and you ended up in Calgary. And I know it's, again, when you're not a first rounder or a top pick, it's hard to get those second and third looks, isn't it?
Yeah. That's my dog.
And he agrees with me.
Murphy.
I love this. Where is Richie? Is it Richie?
That's my dog.
Is Murphy. It Richie?
Hey, tough.
Big dog?
Nobody can walk. Yeah, he's a retriever. He's a mix between a retriever and a Cocker Spaniel.
Is it Richie? Murphy.
Get out.
Where's Murph?
Get out.
See, this is
so
see cool on the Real Kyper at Noon show. This is all inclusive, right? This is as authentic as it gets right now.
Murphy.
Hey, buddy. Treat.
Sit.
Treat.
Sit.
Does he like that word, Marty?
Yeah, they were watching the U.S. Open at the same time.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. I was just talking about your Cleveland days. No time to feel sorry. You put up some big numbers, and it was enough to keep everybody interested.
Yeah, I went to the All-Star game in the IHL, and I scored 3 goals. And honestly, third goal was off my skate. And I was like, I really hope they give it to me, because, you scored 3 in the All-Star game. Maybe somebody's watching. Maybe somebody that's not watching but sees the score sheet, and he's like, wow, he scored 3. I might as well give him a deal. So, I went to Calgary the next day. When I got back to Cleveland, I was on the plane to St. John, New Brunswick to finish the season there. And we actually lost in the Calder Cup final that year. And the whole staff of the Flames, because they didn't make the playoffs, so they kind of followed us. And I had a really good playoff run and kind of set me up for the next year.
Yeah, I got to think that teams look back and they look at your career and like, we were idiots. We were just idiots. How could we not see this And people get fired. You're right. People get fired, and that was the case in Calgary. But you go to Tampa, and within 2 years, you're putting up some big numbers there as well. Do you ever look back, Marty, and say there's only been a handful of guys that were able to come out of nowhere undrafted? You know, I've got a book coming out, Marty, in the fall called Undrafted, and although we share similar stories that we weren't top prospects, I like your story better than mine. You should be writing a book called Undrafted.
Well, with the Calgary thing, Craig Button came in, and I talked to Craig plenty about that. And if you looked at my stats at a time, you're talking in 2000, I had played that year. I played 56 games with the Flames. I had 3 goals. I think 18 points. Two of those 3 goals were in the same game. So I only scored in 2 games. And they had two prospect, 2 first rounder, the Rico Fata and Daniel Kachuk, who they had to make space for. So, I mean, I didn't have. Everybody got fired, so nobody was there. Hey, this kid is actually, because I felt I was kind of coming on a little bit, like to where I felt more comfortable. My biggest problem early on in my career is I held the NHL up here until I put myself here with the NHL. I struggled. Once I put myself mentally, I'm supposed to be here, I'm okay, and I took off. Because I think physically, I had everything you needed to play in the NHL, but mentally, I just wasn't ready. I was too in awe. So once I caught up to the wow factor of the NHL mentally, that's when I kind of took off, and obviously Torts started giving me a chance. But when I got to Tampa, Torch was an assistant coach. Steve Ludzig was the head coach. I was fourth line. My first game of the season, I played a minute 51, I believe. I didn't play much, and it was gradually, I would get 5-6 minutes, then 8-9, and I worked my way up, and eventually, I ended up scoring 18 that year. But my first goal of the season was at the 20-game mark. So that's when I really started playing on the third line and stuff. So. And then Torts took over halfway through the season, and he told me that he's going to give me a chance in the top 6 if I make sure that I come back in shape and stuff. And it was the first time that somebody was telling me that he thinks I can do this. He thinks I'm a pretty good player. And once somebody that had influence and could really help me with ice time told me that, I mean, I went home. Not that I wasn't working hard before. I went to another level because I knew what was on the other side of that. It was that opportunity I've been waiting for a long time.
And you got, Marty, a chance to become a nucleus guy with the likes of Brad Richards and Vinny Lecavalier, and you guys took that as it turned into your team. It turned into the 3 of yours team.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, our team at first, it never felt like it was our team. I don't think we were this is our team. I felt we had a lot of pieces that came in that helped make it a team. When they brought, Dave Andrechuk, and they had Tim Taylor, they just brought some veteran leaders that could kind of guide us a little bit, that kind of I've had the experience to really help us, and not just in scoring goals, and just how you need to play to win, and buying into coach says, pretty much holding us accountable in a way that we might have been doing great things offensively, but they definitely kept us humble and stuff, and just hey, this is great, but we gotta play a certain way here if we want to win. And those guys were a great leader. Freddie Modine, unbelievable leaders. And you brought, we had Boyle and Cabina on the back end, Habby and net. This wasn't just our team. I mean, we were a big part of that team, but there was a lot of guys that played roles that maybe didn't get all the credit that they deserve, for sure.
the other thing too is what you hear about you, especially in that group at that time, was your work ethic off the ice, how you trained, how you went to the gym at odd hours, the famous leg squats, and just in terms of that commitment constantly off the ice. Not everybody's like that. We know Vinny Lecavalier, Marty, as an amazing talent, but even you couldn't drag him into the gym like the way you wanted to go.
Yeah, but I mean, Vinny was first pick overall, right? And
yes,
I think things came to him a little more natural. For me, I had to make sure that, I mean, I wasn't a big guy, and I knew I couldn't play in the league at 150 pounds. Not back then, 160 pounds. I couldn't. So I knew if I was going to play in the NHL, I had to put some muscle mass. So I trained hard. I mean, I left college and I was 22 years old. I think I weighed 171, 72. And I actually, like in 04, I was 6 years later, I was playing at 185, and I think I got faster because I was stronger. I was way faster in my late 20s than I was in 25, just because of putting a little bit of weight, but the right weight, muscle weight. I was always scared that somebody was doing something more than me. I was scared that somebody was working harder than me. I always feel like, like you can outwork anyone from anywhere, as long as you know what you're doing. And I know the saying of too much is like not enough, but like I was always going to err on the too much side because I was scared that I wasn't doing enough. And, until that was a nice thing when I met Ben Prentice, my trainer here in Connecticut, it was the first time that I didn't stress about any workouts because I knew I was willing to work hard. When I didn't have a trainer, I did all, like, I had to figure out what I was going to do and how I was going to do it. That was stressful. You bring a trainer in, and that's his specialty. That's his background. You just show up and train. There's no stress. You actually can work probably much harder by just showing up and not worrying about what you're going to do.
Well, and that
attitude
really
helped me.
Marty, that attitude enabled you to have such a consistent level right up until the end of your career. And, there are a lot of Vinny Lecavaliers out there that are very talented guys, and things come a lot more naturally to them. But, I talked to some kids today, and it can go real quick on you in terms of the downhill slide, but it's the work ethic off the ice that enables you to kind of maintain a certain consistency into your early 30s. I'm not sure all the kids still understand that, Marty.
I'm sorry, I'm laughing. I just had a Vinny story in my mind as you're talking.
Oh, let's hear it. You got to share it with us.
No, because Vinny.
And Vinny, I don't mean to pick on Vinny, and I'm sure you don't want to.
No, Vinny worked
Vinny's
hard,
a great buddy of yours, but Vinny is a good example of if you rely on your God-given talents, it can go downhill in a hurry. And I know there was contract issues that pushed him to retire early, but his game slid because he did not have that drive in the gym probably to maintain it longer than he could have. Is that fair?
Yeah, maybe, but yeah, who knows? I'm not sitting next to Vinny when he's working out in the summer. I'm not sure how hard he's pushing himself, but
yeah,
he was.
But it is important for young kids, Marty, today more than ever. If you want a long career, you better get your ass in the gym.
It is way more competitive now. There's more kids that play. There's more. The depth, talent around the world is unbelievable. You definitely got to check that box there. But Vinny was great to play with. What a player. But my story with him is he would ask me, like, if his legs didn't feel good in warm up, he'd be like, "Marty, how are your legs?" I go, "Fine." He goes, they ever bad? I go, no, I always feel pretty good. How come? Because he was there was nights. There was nights that he just didn't have his legs, and he couldn't believe that. He wanted me to tell him, he wanted me to tell him that, yeah, my legs don't feel good either.
It would have made him feel
even
better.
If they didn't feel good, I never told him that my legs didn't feel good, because he always thought that my legs always felt good, and it annoyed him so much that because he thought that I always had fresh legs, but I didn't. But funny.
If only you could have lent him your legs on a couple of nights, it would have made him feel better.
Yeah, well, he was quite the player on his legs.
Yeah.
I think people don't understand about Vinny is Vinny was tough. Like, yeah, you guys, the big fight is fighting Iginla, right? Like,
yeah, well, it's legendary, and it's one that you constantly go
but
to.
Like Vinny, like dropped not that he had success, but Vinny dropped the glove with Chara, Sutton. You're talking about guys that are monsters. And when I played with Vinny, if anybody, even if he didn't quite see it, but like he felt like I didn't like that hit on Marty. There was no like, Marty, was it bad? Was it a bad hit? There was nothing of that. He would just quit playing and he would jump the guy. Then he would ask me after. Like he was awesome to play with, because obviously he was quite the player, but he protected me and he created room for me.
Marty, there's a good reason why he still is considered amongst the highest paid player in the history of the game, right? He had the total package.
Big time.
You guys got to experience the Stanley Cup and amazing years in Tampa Bay. Marty, 5 years out now, if you look back towards, the end of your tenure in Tampa Bay, is there anything you would change differently? I know how much you love New York. I got a chance to play there and win a cup there, and it's a fantastic experience. But in hindsight, is there anything that you look back on, maybe it could have been different, or maybe even you retire a Tampa Bay Lightning 5 years out, looking at it now?
I'm glad I got to experience something else, and I'll tell you why. Like when you're somewhere for 14 years, about all the success, like you were talking about, it's your team. Yeah, like I felt it was my team at that point. Like Vinny was on, Richie was gone. I was the last guys, from the 04 team, and I definitely felt that it was mine. And you start taking things for granted. You expect things all the time. And I felt when I left and I went to New York, I totally had to reinvent myself a little bit. And like people gave me so much respect in Tampa, right? Because I've been there for so long. And I think when I walked into the dressing room in New York, people respected me because of what I had done in the NHL. And then I had to go and earn people's respect. And it made me help me be a better human, and going out and treated people and really creating new relationships. When you're somewhere, when you're home and you're somewhere, like you're not looking out to go create relationship. This is your house. You've been there for so long. People might come into your circle. When you go somewhere new, you got to go out and just really create those relationships. And it was a great time in my life. I felt, you know what, this is good. Let's get out of the comfort zone here. I walked into a really good Ranger dressing room, great guys, almost won the cup. That whole year was kind of numbing because, again, I was somewhere for 14 years, get traded at the deadline, move the family, start the playoff. My mom passed. It was it was numb. I mean, I was kind of numb. I didn't realize until like much after what I had gone through. But I'm glad that I got to experience something else And I'm glad that it took me out of my comfort zone. And I think I developed as a human that much more because of that move. Now, would I have loved retiring as a Tampa Bay Lightning? Yeah, I wouldn't have looked back on anything, and I wouldn't even be talking about this. But I believe things happen for a reason, and that's it.
I remember the look on Trevor Linden's face after we won the Cup in '94, and as happy as I am, you could see the pain right through his eyes. I've never experienced it, but you've had both sides of the equation here now in your career.
Yeah, and I talk about it a lot, actually. I'll talk about the 2 runs in a second, but the LA series was a 5-game series.
A very close one.
Yes, there was 3 overtime games that we lost. And listen, they were a great team and they deserved to win. I felt we were way closer than the 5-game series. That said, the run in 04 winning and the run in 14 losing, they were both awesome. To me, the journey is more important than the destination. I didn't win 14, but it was just as fun. I just didn't get to raise a trophy. The ups and downs, the battles, coming back up against Pitt down 3-1, and then playing Montreal next, winning 6, scoring a game 4 at MSG in overtime. There was so many great moments in both rounds in both the years, 4 and 14. But when I won in 14, I didn't. But I had as much fun, and I cared for both as much. It just didn't happen.
So Marty, when you go play Wingfoot, and that's home to the U.S. Open, do you go there as an ex-Ranger or Stanley Cup champion Tampa Bay Lightning? How do you walk into the clubhouse?
I have a lot of friends that are members there. I just go there as Marty St. Louis. I mean, I'm sure they see me as a hockey player, but the fact that I played for the Rangers, they probably helped me get in there and get a few invites.
And how's the course playing? What are they in for?
I played 2 weeks ago, and obviously it looks a lot like it is today as I'm watching this round. The difference from like last year, let's say, is the fairways are much tighter. They brought fairways in. The rough is thicker. And obviously those guys go all the way back. We didn't play all the way back. I played there 2 weeks ago. They were putting up the tents. They're doing a lot of construction on the site. But the fact that there's no fans, they'll be able to open the course back up pretty soon after that because the course gets pretty beat up.
And how is your game, by the way?
It's okay. I mean, I'm like a 7, 8. Trending in the right direction, I want to say, though.
There you go. I know, Marty, over the years too, your charity work. We've got a mutual friend here in Toronto, Brian Beedman. Brian recently retired from Toronto Police, but he is sure appreciative over the years, the work that you've done in helping him, with the Special Olympics program and some of the other various charities that the Metro Police were around, and you were always a big part of that. And I know he wants to send a big thank you out to you.
Yeah, no, I think as an athlete, that's one of those things that it comes with it, and I enjoy it. I try to get involved as much as I can when people reach out. How can you say no to people that are trying to do something good? So, we're glad. We're always glad to help.
All right. Any predictions on the Tampa Bay Lightning Game 6? Do they put this away, or do we go to a Game 7, Marty? I'm putting you on the spot.
Yeah, I mean, if Point's in the lineup, I would say yes, they put it away. If he's not in the lineup, I think it's going to be a tight game, and it's going to be, if they win, it's going to be a low-scoring game. But I would say 10 finishes tonight.
Hall of Famer Marty St. Louis joining us, in Tampa Bay Lightning legend. Hey, listen, thank you so much for doing this, finding time. We know you're a busy guy, and good luck with the coaching stint, and won't be long before we see you at some point involved with another NHL hockey club. Marty, thank you for doing this.
Thanks for having me, Kyper.
Marty St. Louis, everybody. Fascinating guy, fascinating story. And how about Dog Murphy making a cameo? Usually on the Real Kyper at Noon show, when it derails and it gets thrown to the dogs, it's because of Doug McLean. But I can't blame Doug, who also was kind enough to make a cameo. So Murphy and Mac both making cameos on the show today when they were never expected. But Marty St. Louis, you love him for so many reasons, but the thing that stuck out most for me in that interview was listening to a guy that had so much success in college with Vermont. We know that he's a Hall of Fame player there, and then the grind to get to the NHL, and then he had early success. When you factor in winning the Stanley Cup and then starting to accumulate all those 1,000 points, close to 100 points in the playoffs, major awards, including the Art Ross, Lady Byng, the Hart. And yet what I got out of that interview more than anything, that he was scared. He was constantly scared that people around him, like his competitors, were getting better and he wasn't. And how did he fix that? By being in the gym. Every second that he felt like he needed to train, he was in there doing it. And you got two stories there. You got the one story of Vincent Lecavalier, who's as gifted as there were anybody in the history of the game. And then the other one who knew he had special talents, but they didn't mean a damn thing unless he was in a gym pushing and getting every last ounce of his talent through the hard work and the sweat and the tears of being in a gym. So a fantastic 40 minutes there with Hall of Famer Marty St. Louis. Okay, Game 6 tonight. What can we expect? What we expect right now is a New York Islander team that can hang in there, that can find a way. As ugly as it was the other night, and it was ugly, they found a way to hang in there. They also found a way by bringing in Zach Boychuk. And I think he ended up with 10, 12 minutes. But guess what? Those 12 minutes were enough for the big boys. So now you find yourself on a team, on a blue line on the Islanders. They don't have a Headman. They don't have a Miro Heiskanen. They don't even have a Kleinberg. They don't have that guy. They don't have a bona fide number one that could take and quarterback that blue line. But they've got good 1-4s. And it's not a big drop off between 1 and 3 and 4. On other teams it is. But the consistency of that blue line without having a bona fide number one is there to hang in there. And I thought having 7D really came in handy, especially with the minute munchers that Taves had, and Pelech and Pulak closing in around 30 minutes the other night. It was a big difference maker, but there's just Brayden Point or no Brayden Point, there shouldn't be a reason for Tampa Bay to lose 2 in a row. And that's why I'm going to bring in Joe Holka here. And I want to boost this game. We had an off night last night, but Joe, want to find a way to tell everybody that this is going to be a close game. I expect nothing less from the New York Islanders.
Yeah, I'm with you, Kyper.
They won't go away quietly, Joe, but I expect Tampa Bay, with or without Point, to close this thing out.
Yeah, we couldn't have been more in agreement. I think when we were talking about this before the show, I think that it's so hard to believe that Tampa Bay would drop 2 in a row. I understand that the Islanders are a team that they're just pesky, right? They stick around. But yeah, we do have a couple boosts, and we'll get into it a little bit more, Kyper. But Kyper likes the under today. So it's set at 5.5 right now at blitzbet.eu. It was minus 159. Now it's all the way up to plus 110. So Kipper, you're just giving away free money basically at that point if you think this game's going to be low scoring.
And that's only based on the fact that I don't think Varlamov pulled a shoulder in his Superman slide celebrating Jordan Eberle's game-winning goal the other night. So between Varlamov and Vasilevsky, and I believe Vasilevsky will be at the top of his game again, we should not see more than 5 goals in this game, Joe. So that's why we're going to go with the under.
I like it. And then we're also boosting up the Tampa Bay money line. We mentioned it before, but they were actually the minus 172 favorite in this game earlier today. Now you can get them at plus 110 at BlitzBet. So just incredible value there. Like this is the kind of stuff when I see like how much they're actually boosting these lines, I'd be maxing these out pretty quickly. But I think one of the things that I thought was really interesting, Kipper, that we wanted to touch on, even without Brayden Point in that last game, Tampa Bay was actually creating a ton of offense, at least if we wanted to dig into some of the analytics.
Oh, no, for sure. Yeah, no, absolutely. And they were 2-1 on high danger scoring chances. Without Point, Tampa Bay still has enough depth that they can outchance the Islanders 2-1. I think it was 14-7 when it was all said and done, Joe.
Yeah, it's a great stat, right? Because especially like even last week on Thursday when we were talking about this, the New York Islanders were actually doing pretty well at creating those offensive opportunities, like in the blue paint, really getting to those dirty areas. It's kind of shifted a little bit in Tampa Bay's favor. I think that's part of the reason that we like them on the money line tonight. And then Kucherov in general actually led the way in terms of his Corsi 4 over this past game. So that's nice to see from a guy like that. 31 minutes ice time, Kipper. So.
And that's why I'm going to boost Kucherov. I was thinking, okay, on a couple occasions I went Anders Lee and love Anders in front of the net, but I'm just not trusting enough pucks to get there for him again in Game 6. Why not give everybody at blitzbet.eu the purest shooter, I think, going into tonight's game, and that's Kucherov. So let's boost Kucherov up. I'm giving you all the most dangerous guy tonight to score a goal.
Those ones are fun, Kipper. So it was at plus 190. Now we're at plus 250 for Kucherov.
Ooh.
So if you hit on that one, a nice little payoff for you guys. I think that's one of the ones. I think those are the most fun. Just like taking a shot on a guy like that. He did actually tie for the team lead in high danger chances for on the individual side. So love the Kucherov call by you today, man.
One thing I want to add in there, guys, sorry to interrupt, is that as Joe mentioned earlier, when you see these things, these offers, Joe says, hey, I want to max these things. One thought I would give out to everybody listening, when you see a sports book saying, hey, you can do this, but only at a certain limit, it's usually because it's too good of an offer. And I'm not saying this about BlitzBet, about DraftKings, about any of the regulated sports books you could choose from. But when they give you that little bit where it says $10 max, only singles, no parlays, that means that it's so in your interest to take this offer and take that expected value that buy yourself a little cappuccino, a little ice cream, whatever. But it's just really in your favor.
No, Jordan, get yourself a Harley Davidson.
Hey, I like that. I'm cool with that.
Right? Forget the cappuccino. Just putting that in at whatever value you can, even if it's maxed out at $10, gets you a chance to win a Harley Davidson I'm giving away.
Yeah, and you know what? Here's my promise for the Real Kyper at Noon faithful. We will make sure that there is a cup holder attachment or accessory of some way for that said cappuccino on the Harley. You heard it here first.
There you go. Okay, guys. Thanks for coming in. And Joe, as always, thanks for giving us your insight in betting 105. Can we officially call that betting 105?
I think so. One more thing, Kipper, before we get out of here. Any football fans out there? We're doing a lot of football content on Line Movement as well. So we have our live show at 11 a.m. Eastern time before kickoff every Sunday. So come hang out with us. If you have some start-sit decisions, if you're playing fantasy football, we're going to walk through a lot of the betting stuff, of course, but it's a lot of fun. We also do a show every Sunday night at 6:30 p.m. Eastern time. We kind of just walk through everything that just happened. It's a really good time. Myself, Peter Overzet, Michael Leone. I think everyone should come join us for that live show. But the thing is, guys, the one thing that we probably haven't mentioned enough here is if you hit that notification bell, if you're watching on YouTube right now, you actually get notified when we go live. So that's something that I do for some of my favorite channels out there. It's just easier than knowing all the times. I forget stuff all the time. So hit that bell. You'll get that notification right on your phone and come join us.
Awesome stuff, guys. All right. What else is on tap here?
What's going on tomorrow? Yeah, what's going on tomorrow?
I can tell you that, of course, as Doug continues his journey in the East Coast on his way to Cabot Links, we are going to work on a guest tomorrow. I am trying to track down. I think I got a pretty good beat on it too. How about Paul Bissonnette? Yes, Spittin' Chicklets. Of course, we also know him as a tough guy in the National Hockey League. We're kind of cut from the same cloth. He's done a remarkable job off the ice with his career. I am going to track him down, and we could have him tomorrow on the show to fill in for Doug MacLean. You think the Biz Nasty would be a good change on a Friday from Doug MacLean? What do you think, everybody? Let me know in your comments. So a lot of great things lined up for tomorrow. Today was a fun day. Of course, Marty St. Louis was terrific. Stephen Ellis, I think in the comments, said keep an eye on his son, Ryan, a very good up-and-coming prospect in 2021. So, and Stephen Ellis, of course, does a terrific job on linemovement.com. Look for his stuff as we continue going down a great path here. Thanks, guys, for a terrific show. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. If you're a first-time watcher, please subscribe. It's great that you can come on board on a daily basis. We'll watch Game 6 tonight with great interest. We'll see if the Islanders can push this. I'm sure Dallas wouldn't mind even more rest. They golfed the other day. Perhaps sitting back and watching some U.S. Open as well is in order on the short term. Enjoy the game, everybody, and we'll see you tomorrow on the Real Kyper at Noon show.